Hi, I'm on Folly Bridge, which is where I started off the rowing video and one or two others. And I'm going to follow part of the Bulstake stream today, starting from the northwards path along the Thames. My true starting point is actually some way north of here, but I've started at Folly Bridge just as a convenient reference point. I'm on the right-hand side of the bridge facing south. That's the west side, and I'm going to walk north along the Thames for a bit rather than south as I did for the rowing. So I'm tracing the same steps that I did when I went to Osney Lock and then crossed the Osney Road in a previous video. You can switch off your attention a little bit until I get to where Bulstake leaves the Thames, because you'll have seen this before, albeit not quite so late in the year. As I say, this is just a convenient reference point so that you know where I am. The video has the same sort of focus as the past two or so that I've made. This part of Oxford is riddled with streams. It's basically floodplain or near floodplain, and water still plays a large part in the inhabitants' lives. Osney Road was flooded recently, and it played a much larger part before we had the technology to build all the bridges we now have, and when people depended more on getting round on foot or on hoof. Many people, including me originally, because I grew up on the hills, not the rivers, think of a river as just one sort of entity, one sort of line. But if you look at the Thames, that's far from true. The Thames is what some people call a braided river system. That's braid in the same sense as braided string or braided pigtails. Lots of sort of separate intertwining threads of river with islands cut out by those pieces of river. You get islands within islands and streams coming off streams, and it all gets very complicated. I quoted the narrator from 3 Men in a Boat about this. As I say, the Thames is a braided river. It's around Oxford. It splits into quite a few different channels. One of them is what we call the navigation channel. That's the bit along which most of the boats go. I won't say all the boats, because I've seen pictures of people canoeing other streams of the Thames, but the sort of official river traffic goes along the main navigation channel. The other channels, the other streams, are what are called backwaters. In a previous video I gave the analogy of the Norwegian, the letter O with a stroke through it. Put a stick through a letter O. Imagine that the stick is the main bit of the Thames. Then the curves of the O either side are backwaters. And I'm going to visit one backwater of the Thames, Bulstake Stream. Bulstake Stream comes off near Tumbling Bay. Well, sorry, that's the that's where it rejoins the Thames. That's one end. It leaves the Thames at Tumbling Bay, which I did a video about, the bathing place, and then goes sort of south, crosses the Botley Road, and wiggles around, crossing something called the North Hinksey Causeway, which is an old route to North Hinksey and comes out in the Garden of the Fishes. It's quite historically important, and I'll say more about that sometime. Wiggles around a bit after crossing the North Hinksey Causeway, and then goes round the back of the Osney Mead Industrial Estate, and then rejoins the Thames not far from where I am now. Okay, well, here's the first diversion. If it was streams that used to put barriers in people's way, nowadays it seems to be dilapidation, construction work that just isn't done. So I've got to go round that bridge, which is still not repaired. I'm now on Marlborough Road, facing south. Is he going to an exam? No, if he were going to an exam, he'd have a white tie, not a black tie. University is very fastidious about its dress. Right, so I've now come. I was on the path going north up the Thames. I had to come off it briefly to bypass the still not functioning bridge, and I'm now back on the same river path. So I'm now looking north into the Friars Council estate, and then if I were able to jump over the council estate and the main road beyond it, I'd be going in the back of the new Westgate shopping centre. So just to say it again, this is the main navigation channel of the Thames, but the Thames has other streams, and I'm going to be visiting one of them very shortly. And as an added bonus, I'm going to be visiting Narnia. This is the Grand Pont Nature Park, which is a great place to wander around. There are several seats, and you can get to places like the back of the ice rink, and there's a track along the railway. You can get back down further south along Marlborough Road. still walking along the Thames. This is the bridge that people are having to use while the one that I just passed is out of commission. So it's an annoyingly long way round. Wow. That's the ice rink with the sort of mast. I understand that that's a suspension device for the roof. It works like a suspension bridge. Nice little roses. And this is where I want to be, the railway bridge. Okay, now count the bridges. There is one bridge above me. And there is another bridge interrupting this path, which is crossing something. So the question is, what is it crossing? And the answer is that it's crossing water. The Thames splits here. The main branch of the Thames goes on past that Rainbow Runner boat, the black and cream one on the right. And a smaller stream goes off to the left. There. And I'm going to walk along both sides of the smaller stream, though not at the same time. Right, you can see where I'm going. I'm going to turn the camera off while I cross that improvised stile. So, I still have to cross that. I'm going to come out onto some fields, and I just climbed over that and crossed the muddy bit. So, those are the fields ahead of me. And the stream that I just crossed is the Bulstake, and I'm now on its south bank. You can't see it through the nettles and other trees, but you can see a gap in the vegetation about halfway up the picture, which indicates that it's there. Somebody has thoughtfully provided a track along the south bank, which is very nice of them. There's just been cutting or mowing here, so there's a lovely aroma of freshly cut stems. There may unfortunately be a lot of wind noise, because I'm facing west, and that's where the wind is coming from. It was much quieter this morning. I did a preliminary recce round about 9 o'clock to check that I could get where I wanted, and the wind wasn't so strong then. That's the industrial estate, Osney Mead Industrial Estate. I think it may actually technically be called King's Meadow. What happens, don't know how well you can see that, but you can always freeze the image and look at it in detail. The thickest blue line is the Bulstake stream, even though it probably isn't actually the thickest channel. I've just come onto it by the Thames crossing bottom right. There's words above it saying Osney Mead Industrial Estate. The stream runs along the south bit of the industrial estate about halfway and then splits. A little branch of it goes northwest to the southwest corner of the industrial estate, but the main bit of the stream heads southwest for a bit and then turns abruptly north, going through the green space across Botley Road and then northeast through round the back of Botley Park and through Tumbling Bay, which is the bathing place I showed in an earlier video, and then it terminates where it joins the Thames again by 4 rivers or 4 streams, which is a sort of four-way water crossing. So I'm walking broadly west. You can see the stream there. Right, I can't go that way, can I? So I need to go that way. I love the smell of the mown grass, but I sort of hate the sight of it because it reminds me how short summer is. Harvesting already done. And soon things will be turning brown, leaves will be dropping, and the clocks will go back. Lurching around a bit here, but the ground is quite uneven. Right, that's the back of part of the industrial estate, and it obviously borders the stream quite closely. looking south. Now I'm back on the path. It's just a little compacted dirt track, but it's fine enough for walking along. Now, if you look at Google Maps of the industrial estate area and the Bulstake, somewhere around here on the south bank of the stream is a point labelled Narnia View, Narnia. I don't know who named it that. I think anybody can name a feature on Google Maps, and they don't have to own it or be legally associated with it in any way. I'll mention that again when I come to a bridge called Pontus Spondulicus. But I mention it because it commemorates one of Oxford's most famous writers, C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis was a professor, literary studies, a writer, and a theologian. And he's famous for a number of different books. He wrote books defending Christianity, such as Mere Christianity and the Problem of Pain. He wrote 3 science fiction novels, Out of the Silent Planet, Voyage to Venus or Perilandra, and That Hideous Strength. He wrote the Screwtape Letters, which is a series of letters between 2 demons in hell. There's a senior demon called Screwtape, and a junior, less experienced and younger demon called Wormwood. And they both have and Wormwood has been given the duty of tempting some guy on Earth in order to turn him away from God and towards Satan. Wormwood's not a very good tempter because he's not experienced enough, and he tends to go for flashy, very wicked sins, whereas Screwtape is more experienced and goes for the more subtle sins that may be slower but sort of embed themselves deep in your spirit and make it moulder forever. And in the guise of Screwtape and Wormwood, C.S. Lewis discusses ways in which one can turn people away from Christianity, and therefore, obviously, by extension, towards Christianity, which is what he is concerned about. And probably his most famous books are the Narnia Chronicles, of which the best known would be The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which is set in World War II Britain. 4 children, Edmund, Lucy, Peter and Susan, have been evacuated to the countryside, sent to the countryside to avoid bombs. And while they're there, they meet a professor who turns out to be a magician, and they discover a wardrobe, and it's a magic wardrobe, and they can get through it into a magical land of, well, magic, talking animals and fantasy creatures like fauns, which are half human, half goat. And they have all sorts of adventures. In fact, they save Narnia from its current control by the White Witch, who has Narnia under her iron hand, keeping it in perpetual winter. Not so different from Britain then. That was the first book that I read. The other one that I like was The Magician's Nephew, which is set in 1900, 40 years earlier. And two children discover a set of magical rings, green, yellow and red, I think, which take them to the wood between the worlds, where if you dive into one of innumerable pools, you get transported to a different universe, I suppose, a different land. The kids first go into a pool where they encounter a dead city called Charn, and accidentally bring back a witch called Jadis. And she attempts to take control of London, and in the ensuing struggle they get kicked back to the wood between the worlds again, and through another pool they get to Narnia, but much earlier, just as it's being created. And there's an amazing scene where a lamppost, part of which was accidentally brought with the people who are fighting Jadis, a lamppost gets embedded in the soil of Narnia, and because Narnia is being created, it makes the lamppost grow, and the lamppost stays there in one of the woods of Narnia. And I'm just wondering whether these features had anything to do with the name Narnia View being given. When you look at those two electricity pylons edge on, so that they're behind each other and behind the tree, they make quite an impression, standing there alone with just field around them. And they made me think of the lamppost. Or maybe it's just that Narnia is a sort of idealised Britain, country Britain, and probably not so far from what this looks like. Right, so I'm still walking along the Bulstake. I'm somewhere around Narnia View, and if you want to know exactly where Narnia View is, do a Google Maps and type Narnia View into it. And I'm still behind the industrial estate. And someone there has got a nice view of the stream. Now, somewhere around here, just west of Narnia View, the Bulstake is going to split, and the larger component will continue with me, and the smaller component will go right tight to the back of the industrial estate. And I think the split has just happened round about here. I think I can see the smaller component of the stream in the distance. It was nice and sunny when I did the recce this morning. Then it got cold and dull, and I put on a jersey and thick trousers, but now it's got really warm again, so I'm too hot. Now I'm at the bridge labelled Cross Currents in red. There's an arrow pointing to it. And what I'm walking along is something I've mentioned before. It's a cable channel that takes high voltage cables from the substation that I'm walking towards to the substation about maybe half a mile south on the path to South Hinksey. I'm not going to follow that path today, other than just far enough northwards to get off it. Right, so I'm crossing the Bulstake, and I know it's the Bulstake. I'm crossing the Bulstake, and I know it's the Bulstake because the maps say so. So this, once again, this is the former main navigation channel of the Thames up to round about 1790. If people were using a boat on the Thames, it's probably here that they would have been boating. And I've probably oversimplified that because I think the state of the streams are shown on the map that I drew, and maps in the previous 2 centuries or so. I think that's actually been simplified quite a bit as waterways were reconstructed and land was reclaimed. The rivers were probably much more complicated if you go back, say, another 3 or 4 centuries. Okay, so I'm now walking north along Electric Road, the cable channel to South Hinksey. Lovely dog roses. Beautiful. Okay, now watch me carefully, because the last stretch of this path may be a little complicated, and it also gets rather dark. The industrial estate is now on my right, and I'm going to come out at its southwest corner, roughly, not far from the entrance to Willow Lane on Ferry Hinksey Road. So, not at all far from civilization. That is North Hinksey over there. I never hear grasshoppers anymore. I used to hear them all the time when I was a kid. But I feel that if I did hear them at all, this would be the sort of place that I would hear them. And this would be the sort of day too, because it's really quite warm now. Forgive me, I'm just trying to fold that impromptu map that I drew. Okay, coming up to the end of Electric Road now. Got snared by some long grass. Right, there's the substation, which I'm going to go right of. Okay, so I'm going right of this construction. And I'm going along a little track northwards towards Ferry Hinksey Road, and it's overgrown. It's a sort of bower of trees. And if you didn't know it, you would hardly suspect the north end. Oh. And I come out, or will come out in a minute, on Ferry Hinksey Road. Okay. So this is one of the buildings of the King's Meadow bit of the industrial estate. That is Ferry Hinksey Road ahead of me. Willow Lane is just ahead on the left. Not there, but there before the red car. This is right at the back of the industrial estate, King's Meadow. That's Willow Lane on the left. And that is Osney Mead. Right, the industrial estate carries on in that direction and goes back to the Thames. And I'm now going to run along to the Thames, back to Bulstake Stream, and go up its other bank, which will be quite a different experience. And I'm going to turn off the video. Right, it's me again. As you can hear, I'm back at the railway bridge on the Thames. That's the track that I went up to get to the south side of the Bulstake. This time, I'm going to cross the Bulstake on this bridge and go up the other side. There's the Rainbow Runner, the cream and black boat that I mentioned last time. So now I have Bulstake on my left and Thames on my right. And if I kept going along the Thames, I would get to Osney Lock and the Botley Road. But I'm not going to do that, at least not by the direct route. I think there's always been some sort of path here, but the council recently put in a cycle path, probably not more than 2 years ago. Should say a pedestrian path because pedestrians have priority. So that is the Bulstake on my left now, though you can't see much of it. This path has got quite a nice sort of slightly rubbery surface, which is good for walking on. facing more or less west. The Bulstake is behind that building, Osney 1, which is something to do with the university's Bodleian Library. Hopefully nobody will mind if I go through the garden. Good. We can just see the far side of the Bulstake. It's that light patch of grass. Between the trees, which I've zoomed in on. And I don't know how visible it will be, but I at least can see one of those black plastic rolls. And there again, may not be terribly visible, but I can see two of the rolls now. So that's beyond the Bulstake, and the Bulstake itself is just on my left. That's the road along which I came to get here. This is another university building, the Thermofluids Institute, or the Thermofluids Department. It's part of engineering, officially known as the Southwell Building, I see. And there again are the fields. I'd like to find a clearer view. that will do it. Right, so that quite clearly shows the land on the other side of the stream. And that's where I was when I went along the other bank. So we're oriented like that. Now I see where I can get by going to the back of the industrial estate. So that's the Thermofluids Institute that I just came off. That's the main road of the industrial estate. I'm going towards a building marked as core filing Osney Mead House. Now, I know I can see the stream from down on the left because I did so this morning, but Lung Wa Chong didn't like it at all. I think they thought I was going to make off with 100 weight of prawn crackers or whatever. So I'll just show you it from a distance, and there it is. However, this side, this side seems less contentious. So there is the Bulstake again, and there are the fields beyond. Now, according to my notes, Narnia View is behind Osney Mead House, and the stream splits behind the car park, which I think is just to the right. So that's about as far as I can see it from the industrial estate. And I will walk back out to the end, indicate a few more directions, and then end the video. Right, I'm back on the main industrial estate road. Bulstake Stream, as I said, doesn't end here. It continues round to the other side of Botley Road, and it crosses under Willow Lane, and to the south of that crossing it also crosses the North Hinksey Causeway, which is the route into the Fishes pub. before getting to those, it wiggles around the other side of the electric road that I came up. I'm not going to try to follow it there though, because one requires dedication, desperation and some very tough footwear, judging by the state of the vegetation. Well, that's what it looked like this morning. Okay, here I am on the south end of Ferry Hinksey Road. Botley Road is straight on at the first main junction. Willow Lane to North Hinksey is there. The industrial estate that I just came out of is there, and the track down to Electric Road is down there. So that's it for the afternoon. See you next time.